What's up guys, how's it going? I'm finally continuing my session breakdown series. If you don't know, my EP just came out. It's called Paper Planes. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I made the intro track called Freefall. I'm going to show you the first voice memo idea that I had for the song and how I turned that into the final mix and master. So stick around to see how I did that. Also, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown video. Let's get into it. So this was the original voice memo idea for the song. I'll play it for you. So it's kind of similar, but not really. The basic idea of it was the some sort of piano ostinato pattern, and then a low bass note thing. So I ended up changing the chords, and I ended up changing what the ostinato's doing, but the original idea is from this. That's the only voice memo I have, so let's get straight into the session. Here's the Freefall session. I'm going to start off by breaking down the instrumental. The first thing I knew I wanted to do was track the piano ostinato. After experimenting a bit, I ended up deciding on this with the bass note. For this song specifically, I wanted to challenge myself into recording my upright piano for my living room live. But it'd be too complicated to bring all my studio equipment and microphones and everything down there. So what I did was I recorded it on my mom's iPad with the Apple earbud microphone. And the sound is kind of bad quality, but it made it sound a lot more full. Here's just the live piano by itself. I have one playing up the octave and one playing down the octave. But it sounds like a little bit low quality, but I kind of like that about it. So I decided to also layer it with this MIDI piano, which is called The Gentleman by Native Instruments. Sounds a lot cleaner, but it sounds less realistic. So when I layer all of them together, it makes a really good blend. It sounds really full. I also recorded the bass note boom thing live. Which is the same as the other pianos. Kind of sounds low quality, but it has this realism to it. So I layered it again with another MIDI piano called the Giant. And again, same thing as the other one. Sounds very clean. So you layer them all together for that other low note. And then I also have a piano reverse that leads into it. So it's which is just the live low hit with reverb on it, and then I reversed it. And that helps lead into it better. So we have this. Now let me quickly talk about the meaning because it kind of influenced how I produced the song. The song after this is called Daydreaming, and it's just about having big dreams and longing to bring them to reality. And the hook line in that song is every time I close my eyes, I fall into a dream. So I wanted the intro track to be basically the feeling of daydreaming almost. I'm editing the video right now. I forgot to mention the whole significance of falling into a dream is the fact that it's almost you can't escape that vision. And it's annoying because every time you daydream about that reality, you remind yourself that you don't have that yet, but you can't really escape thinking about it. So yeah, back to the video. And the way that it starts off really small, and as it goes on, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Basically describing how you just start off looking out the window or something and staring at the ceiling, and you kind of get further and further. And then I wanted the whole intro to suck in, and then it goes into the next song, basically symbolizing how you get so lost in this alternate reality, and then all of a sudden you just realize, oh wait, none of this is real, and you kind of long for what that reality is. So I want the song to really build up and get bigger and bigger and bigger as it goes on. So I knew I wanted to do that by adding more layers and making it feel really big. It starts off like this, just those piano layers, and then hit. So along with the piano layers, I add some extra sounds to make it feel more full. I have this choir, which has a tremolo on it, so it bounces from ear to ear. This is the Jacob Collier Audience Choir. Great plugin. I also have this tremolo organ. So it starts off without the tremolo on it. It plays the chord progression once. And at the end of it, then it starts bouncing from ear to ear, and this is when it starts to build up. If I take that out, a lot more empty. It really fills it out. I have another string pad over here. from Studio Strings, Spitfire Audio. And I automate the expression so it gets louder and louder. Same with the dynamics. Another good thing to note is that almost every single instrument ends up getting pulsed. So here, they're ducking according to the kick drum. I have it side chained to the kick. Then I have another string pad from this crazy plugin, Cinematic Frozen Strings by Spitfire Audio. This is like my secret weapon. Sounds crazy, and it gets louder and louder too. Crazy sound. So like wide, and then I pulse it. Then we have another string pad, which is just one note played in 3 different octaves. And it gets louder and louder and pulses too. Lastly, for these like string pads, we have this really sick tremolo one. Which is like, sounds so good. And that really adds a lot. You hear the instrumental. It kind of like peeks out there, and it just makes it really interesting. So yeah. And then also, that one pulses too. They're all just side chained to the kick. Then we also have this high violin, which fades in. Just in the background to add like a high ceiling to it. We also have, throughout the entire song, this wind. Because you're falling. And this gets louder and louder throughout the song. And also pulses. So that's basically everything for this beginning section. Oh, I have this reversed hit. So this all makes it really flow. Let me mute the vocals. A cool thing I did, I have the stock Logic French horn, and I made it sound really good. By itself, it's not that good of a sound. It sounds really like thin and fake. But what I did was I had that. Sounds not that good with reverb though. And then I have a like hard hit fade in. But the reverb makes it sound pretty good. And then in context, it sounds amazing. And that's proof that sometimes sounds don't sound like amazing on their own, but in the context of the song, they can still work. So yeah. Also, if you've seen my first breakdown, you might recognize this sound, which I recorded for Daydreaming, the song that comes after the intro. And I decided to put it in there to make it like cohesive, and it sounds kind of dreamy, so I thought it would fit here too. It's a nice little impact. Cello here. This is also from Spitfire Studio Strings. It has this amazing cello plugin. Also forgot to mention, under all of this, I have this sub bass, which as the notes go on, I automate the volume down a little, and it comes back up. Which you barely even hear, but without it, you could feel it. Empty. With it, it kind of grounds the whole thing. So that's basically everything so far. We also have this. This is another piano sound from Una Corda, playing this like, which I thought sounded amazing with all the other pianos. Sounds really good. So that's everything in this part of the song. And then this part everything starts to pulse. Add the kick. Pretty subby kick. We have this MIDI acoustic guitar, which I was just using for the high, like, kind of it. So I took out all the lows and low mids and put like a delay on it. It just adds more rhythm. I have another like impact thing. I got that from this synth called Super 8. I don't even know how I found that, but definitely add something. Then one of my favorite sounds in this entire project, which is the bass, the main bass, which is like pulsing. And I took out some of the really lows and left them in for the sub. It's this preset from Super 8 called Slash Mouse. And as the song goes on, I have the filter open up and it gets really crazy. And towards the end of the song, it's so good. And then I don't really add much else until the next time it comes around. I have the snare. It's a 6 snare from Butch Vig drums. I just have like a low pass filter on it. I'm also taking some lows, increasing some notes a little bit. Now with the kick. This start to fade in. This pizzicato violins from Session Strings 2. And they get louder and louder. They're very compressed. I did it on purpose. I want it to sound like super punchy and aggressive. The last things that I really added was this riser to help it like suck in. Sick. And then just another suck in. And that's basically the entire instrumental. One other thing I added was this 8-bit sound that I also used in Daydreaming. The more sounds I can like sneak in from other songs, the better. It just makes it like cohesive. And you don't really hear it that much, but it adds a little bit, I think. I also have this piano sound too. Just playing this like kind of cluster chord thing. And it gets louder and louder. And that helped to fill it out. And that is the entire instrumental. So now I switched to the mix session because the vocals are mixed in here. So it'll be easier to show you because they'll sound better. The first thing I have is this lead. I love how the vocals came out on this. I have crazy reverb on it. I'll show you the mixing stuff later. And then here we have some harmonies come in and then doubles. So we have these doubles here. And then with the harmony too, sounds like this. So this is where it first starts to build up. So I wanted to add more and more vocal layers here. We have another harmony, it's even lower. So it's under the low harmony. So all of those together. This stack over here, which I sang really like vibrato-y to make it sound like a choir type thing. But that with the lead sounded really good. So we just have these layers go on basically throughout the entire song, like for the rest of it. Sounds really good. I'm really proud of how it turned out. And another thing to note was as the song goes on, I wanted the vocals to get like louder and louder and more aggressive, like to have it build up and everything. So start off really soft, then get a little more, move back to soft a little bit, and then it's like, okay, here it's gonna really start to build up more. So start singing it like louder. That's louder. And then like the loudest here. Really aggressive. And then this big note at the end. Okay, so another thing I wanted to do in this intro was kind of put Easter eggs of the other songs on the EP in it. So the first one of those that I have is here. Really quiet. I don't know if everyone picks up on it or not, but it's this. From the hook line of daydreaming, every time I close my eyes, I fall into a dream. So I just made this stack over here with like a lead one and a high harmony and a low harmony. So all that together sounded really clean. So that's the first little Easter egg. The next one I have is for Escape for Me, which is one of the other songs. And I did. Now it's an escape. Now it's an escape. And that is from the line Escape for Me. Now it's an escape for me. That's just like one lead, one on the left and one on the right, and then a harmony at the end. And then the last little Easter egg I have is this one. I didn't do an Easter egg for Paper Planes just because like I didn't really think to, but whatever. I have this one. Pushing them out, pushing them out. Ah. So it's the pushing them out thing, which comes from Introvert Problems, third track on the EP, where the hook line in the chorus is, keep pushing them out, cause I'm scared I'm gonna fall. So I have that come in here. Until I recorded this stack, I wasn't like positive what the intro was going to be. I was kind of just messing around. And then once I did this, I really realized like, oh, that's what this is. It was like really cool when that happened. Because it really, I feel like just transforms it from like just a build up to something like really, really cinematic. And the way all the vocals like interact, I'm obsessed with. Also the stack after to show you what it all sounds like together. We also have this, which just helped to fill out a little more of this higher one. And these with the lead sound like this. We have this lower one. And then just the bass note of the chord. I have this, which comes in here. Just have like a little swell. This, which is sidechain to the kick. Thought it sounded really cool. I just have this one at the end. Just a really like soft slide harmony thing. You can barely even hear it, but it just adds. I have another like root note one here. And then we have our ad-libs. So we have another cause I'm not thing here. And then one last one over here. So the whole like cause I'm not ad-lib idea was, I think, an accident. I'm pretty sure I recorded like pushing them out or something, and I thought it sounded like cause I'm not. It was like pushing them out or something, and I like slurred it and it sounded like cause I'm not, and I thought that was like really cool. And then I thought it was even cooler because we have now it's an escape. Now it's an escape. Pushing them out, pushing them out. So it's kind of almost saying like this daydreaming is kind of an escape from reality. And then it's saying, cause I'm not where I want to be. And then we have pushing them out, and it's pushing them out, pushing them out, cause I'm not. So I'm pushing them out because I'm not where I want to be, because I'm almost too focused on this reality that I don't have. So it all kind of like connects, which I thought was cool, the meaning of it. And that is all the vocals. In total, I had like 50 something tracks of vocals. That's basically the entire like vocal arrangement and the instrumental arrangement. Now I'm going to show you some of the mixing stuff I did, some of the thought process behind like how I approached the mixing and the vocal chain and stuff, and I'll show how I mastered it. Before we do anything else, I think I'll show you the vocal chain, which is pretty similar for almost every song. I'll just tweak it a little bit for each song depending on what I want it to sound like. I have this EQ taking out some of these like harsh frequencies I didn't like and really low frequencies. So it makes it a little less like nasally. I have our first compressor. I'll put it on the loud part so you can see. It's doing like 5 dB of compression. De-esser to get rid of all the sibilances. Yeah, definitely helps. Then I also have fresh air, which makes everything brighter. Without it, big difference. So without it, with it. Without it, with it. Definitely helps make it really bright. I want the vocals for the song to be super, super bright and airy, so that helped a lot. Then I have another EQ, just boosting some of the like mids and highs, and then another compressor. Then I have reverb, so I have the reverb here, RAM, I use it on like every single song. I have channel EQ, so I'm just making the reverb really bright and taking some of like the higher mids out. And then I have a de-esser on the reverb to get rid of some of the sibilances like on the reverb. That's what it's getting rid of. It just helps clean it up a little bit, makes it less harsh. Then I have the doubles, which I believe, yeah, they have reverb on it too. But they're pretty dry. And then I basically have the same vocal chain on like every single freaking track. One thing to note is that these, I did not put any auto-tune on the pushing them out stack. I want it to sound super, super raw and like choiry almost. I have like the basic stack, but I did not put auto-tune on it. And then on the actual stack, I have even more fresh air, which makes it brighter again, and another de-esser. Also did not put auto-tune on these two, I believe. Just to keep it very raw. The big thing to note is I did a ton of automation on the delay and reverb and stuff to make it like really move around and feel interesting. And if you don't know, automation is basically changing parameters and settings over time. So we start off on the first Freefall, the reverb gets really loud. It also gets longer, like the tail of it gets longer. Then the delay comes up. The other delay comes up and the reverb comes up. On like the fall part, I really wanted to get like super reverby and delay-y. Then one of the delays comes down a little bit and the other one starts coming up. The reverb gets a little louder here. Some of the decay gets longer and then shorter. And then basically they kind of just stay like around the same. And then with the delay kind of increasing throughout the song. And at the end, the reverb and delay get really, really loud. And then this whole delay gets super, super loud. If it's Freefall, I want it to feel super like, and just like really expansive. So I'll have the reverb come up there. And then after that phrase, I'll have the delay come up a little bit to like continue the phrase a little bit into the next one. And then at the end, I want the reverb and delay to get really loud and everything. It just makes everything sound huge. Like if I play it and I turn off the delay and reverb, big difference. Really adds a lot. So I did some other automation stuff, but that's like the main automation. I just automate some of the volumes of the vocals. So like the low harmony starts off really quiet. And then later on, it's a lot louder. Now we'll get into some of the mixing for the instrumental. So I'll show you how I process the live piano and the other pianos too. I have tons of plugins on. If I turn everything off, it sounds like this. It's a lot brighter. If I put everything back on, it kind of dulls it out a little bit. Which is kind of what I wanted. I want it to feel a little filtered. But then with the other one, it kind of feels more full and adds back some of the high end. So what I'm doing is I have like an EQ taking out tons of lows and tons of highs, leaving just like some of the mids. Then I have a compressor. I have de-esser taking out some of the like high stuff. Right. Just some of that like really crispy stuff. I think it was feeling too dull, so I added some of the brightness back. And then I have transient master, just making the attack of the notes a lot smoother. And then I have a similar chain on the lower one, but it wasn't as like harsh, so I didn't need to do as much. I just have that EQ. It's a little bit different. Have compressor, de-esser, and fresh air. Then on this piano, I just have some EQ. Just taking out some lows, filtering a little bit, and bring out the mids. I also have another compressor on all of it, on all those piano layers, just to help like tie them together, make them sound like one sound. And then some really, really light reverb. On the low hits, on the live one, I have EQ, taking out some like really low lows, filtering the highs off a lot, making it sound muffled, and then taking out some like harsh mids. I have a compressor, and then I have this stereo spread plugin, just a stock Logic one, just to make it feel wider. If I take that off, more in the center, that spreads it out a little bit. So that's like most of the really interesting processing that I did. Okay, another thing for all the pulsing, I literally just have everything sidechained to the kick. So I have like so the volume just ducks when the kick hits. And I have the tremolo organ. I'm using a tremolo to pulse it instead of sidechaining it. So it goes from ear to ear. I also forgot to mention, sometimes I'll do this in the mix session if I feel like it needs to be filled out a little more. I'll add a vocoder, so I have try use vocals in 2. So that makes the vocals feel even more full. Fills it out. Yeah, that's basically everything I did. And then just to note, for the end for the second, I just made the stereo out like a track and then turned the volume like all the way down, like really quickly. It's not like fading out. Now I'm going to move on to the mastering, so I'll show you how I did that, and then we're done. Here's our mastering session. I mastered everything on the EP in one session except for Daydreaming because that was a single, so it'd be easier to make it sound consistent. The mastering for this was pretty simple. I just have some EQ. I have the imager, so basically making the low frequencies really mono, the like low mids like also kind of mono, the higher mids more stereo, and then like the highs really stereo also. So it just helps like balance what frequencies and what like parts of the song you want to have closer to like you and mono, and then what you want to be more spread out. I have a dynamic EQ, just bringing these frequencies down when they get like too loud. And then this other EQ, just boost the highs a little bit, making it brighter. We have a clipper, so that you can boost the overall volume. And then we have our maximizer, which is the limiter. And that's how I mastered it. So that's how I made Freefall. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm happy to answer. Also, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next production breakdown, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace.